a guan?
What a guan?
That a guan, pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a guan? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
That's a guan, pa. What a guan?
Tonight on Lead Story, we examine 3 issues raising important questions about accountability, transparency, and public trust. The Integrity Commission's role in scrutinizing public officials is under renewed debate as questions emerge about who should oversee the financial declarations of lawmakers and how best to protect the independence of the anti-corruption institutions. We also look at the ongoing fallout from the Integrity Commission's report on the Firearms Licensing Authority, with calls for greater parliamentary scrutiny and a closer examination of the steps being taken to address the concerns raised. And as students and families reflect on this year's PEP results, a new debate has emerged over how performance is measured and whether the comparisons being made truly tell the full story. I'm Tyrone Reed, and this is Lead Story. The Integrity Commission's role in holding public officials accountable is once again under the spotlight. Government Minister Matthew Samuda has proposed that the Financial Investigations Division, that's the FID, rather than the Integrity Commission, take responsibility for reviewing the statutory financial declarations of members of Parliament. He argues that the current system creates a conflict of interest, as MPs serving on the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee are also subject to the Commission's scrutiny. The proposal has sparked debate about whether such a change would strengthen transparency and accountability or weaken the independence of one of Jamaica's key anti-corruption institutions. To examine the proposal and what it could mean for public trust and oversight, we're being joined by Dr. Gavin Myers. He's the Principal Director of National Integrity Action, the NIA, and of course, Michael Jackson, the Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ. Top of the evening to you, lady and gentlemen. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Not too shabby for a middle-aged guy, thank God. Good to have you on, Sir Gavin. Michael Jackson, are you hearing us? All right, until we sort Michael's communication out, let's press on with you, Dr. Gavin Myers. You heard the recommendation from the Minister of Water. He's saying, look, the FID should be scrutinizing the declarations from members of Parliament. Do you agree?
Well, let me just put it this way. The Integrity Commission has been the organ of government, the organ of the state that has been doing this for years. Before this, it was a Parliamentary Integrity Commission that was doing it. So I don't believe that we should move away from that. That's the first thing. So a Commission of Parliament is critical. The other point I would make on this is that Dr. Samuda, if you listen to the clip, was saying that it is about the oversight committee that he was targeted and speaking about specifically. And I'd just like to say generally that we want to have a parliamentary committee or a parliamentary commission dealing with this, because it would be difficult to see the FID or any organization that reports to a minister being the one to look at the activities or such of any minister there. And I would just like to say that this is in keeping with the practices across, well, all that I've seen in the Commonwealth countries. And along with this, I welcome, though, the call for further research on this, because research is always good to inform practice.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying if, for example, the Financial Investigations Division is chosen as the entity to scrutinize the financial declarations from members of parliament, it might open up the process to ministerial interference because the FID boss reports to a minister.
The perception that this happens, and I would never want to say it of anybody. I know the people who work there are civil servants and they do their job. I believe that we should follow the law and follow where the rules bring us. I also think that the evidence, because there is a certain way things should be done, and we have seen the work being done. So overall, if we see how the regulations are followed, we should have confidence in the rules. I would not want it to be said that someone is trying to move things for political or reasons or anything. I wanted it to be that there's some independent body that we know of and we know how they come about and what they're aiming to do it. I just want that to be done, and that there's some confidence in this. I don't want anybody to call out any one of my ministers or any one of my civil servants saying that they're corrupt if they are not.
Is there merit, Gavin Myers, to the argument being proffered by the de facto water minister that it can't be that those who provide oversight for the commission, that they are being scrutinized by the commission? Is there any weight at all to that argument?
So I try to look across the Commonwealth at the other integrity commissions and other approaches like that are there. In the UK, there is a Parliamentary Commission of Standards that is an independent office of the House of Commons itself. And it still is a reporting to the House of Commons. In Canada, there is a conflicts of interest ethics commissioner that is still an officer of the House of Parliament and still reports to the Parliament itself. So in Australia, the same thing. The newer Anti-Corruption Commission still reports to a joint committee of the Parliament, so the two houses. So as far as I've seen, there is still always this need to report. A critical point that Minister Samuda raises is, however, that in the Jamaican case, it is a single house, as in to the House of Representatives. And he's making the point that it would be interesting to see if it would happen to both houses as a joint select committee. And that is something very interesting. It's also very novel. I don't know if the standing committee, the standing orders committee of Parliament, how they would see something like this, and I am not sure how often they meet and to discuss something like this, because it is critical to speak about where things are and how the regulations are followed through on.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Gavin Myers. Please stick and stay with us. We are being joined by Michael Jackson, the Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you so much. Good evening to you, Tyrone, and your viewers.
Indeed. I'm not certain if you were able to listen to the conversation that myself and Dr. Myers is having. The Minister, de facto Water Minister, Matthew Samuda, is saying the parliamentarians, in particular those who are members of the Oversight Committee, that their statutory declarations ought to properly be scrutinized by another entity and not the Integrity Commission. Do you think there is weight to that argument?
You know, before I answer that specific question, Tyrone, let me put in context my general concern about the posture of the Oversight Committee and some of the questions and commentary that I see coming out. The Oversight Committee is there to ensure that there's robust discussion of the reporting of the Integrity Commission, not the structure of the Integrity Commission itself. The Integrity Commission, as it currently stands, is a commission of Parliament. So therefore, there is independence to the commission. Now, I want to also put in context that there was a joint select committee that was reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. To date, we don't have a knowledge of where the status of that review process is. Certainly, there has been no recommendation report coming from the Joint Select Committee. So the commentary that I hear coming from the Oversight Committee is concerning in light of the fact that there is a Joint Select Committee, and while our head of government, Dr. Andrew Holness, our most honorable Prime Minister, has a legal right to asks for judicial review of decision-making of how his statutory declarations were handled. Given that the Prime Minister himself is seeking declaration to have key sections of the Corruption Prevention Act struck from statute, there's a joint select committee that is stalled, and then you look at the commentary of the oversight committee, then one raises real concerns about where the direction of these comments are going. So to answer your question about the recommendation, let me say in principle, I don't think the Integrity Commission should be reviewing its own statutory filings. The question that one would ask, which agency should reasonably be reviewing its statutory filings, should soundly and reject the call for the FID to do so. And the simple reasoning is this: the FID currently sits under executive control. So if one were to remove the Integrity Commission doing review of itself, then the question is, should the Auditor General then be equipped, or do we have an external audit committee of sort that would get certain protection removed from executive control to ensure that fairness procedurally is there? And I think I said a lot, but I wanted to set the context for why I just made the comment.
Absolutely. And of course, there has to be space for review of legislation, Dr. Myers. And I'd love to hear you on this as well, Michael Jackson. But perhaps the cynic is looking on and saying, why can't our parliamentarians make up their minds? Because it took quite some time for us to get to where we are with this single anti-corruption entity. And now it isn't the best thing since sliced bread, Dr. Gavin Myers.
It isn't the best thing. It is always important, I would say, speak about how things are changed over time and look at it and to ensure that we have this type of robust debate. What is concerning to me, as Michael has pointed out, is the political posture that has happened that's seemingly antithetical to any form of oversight. It's that type of posture. And the other thing is, it seems like the persons who are trying to make the comments, and I'm making no aspersions around what is specifically we spoke about here, but I'm saying the general point has been that parliamentarians have been very aggressive, to use the word here, on trying to neuter, stop, block things, and even more, some of them have taken it to bring them to court. So this type of movement can be seen, and I'm speaking about perception here, can be seen as a case of just doing too much and trying to block our general oversight and to get accountability happening.
Are you both of the view, gentlemen, lady, that there are parliamentarians who just don't want oversight? They don't want to be held accountable? Is that what you're getting from some of our parliamentarians?
So I am not even going to speak about what personally anyone is doing. I'm saying that it's clear that there has been some commentary that moves in that direction, but I am very certain that we, the citizens, have been for years saying that accountability is critical. And if we, the citizens of Jamaica, who are the ones who are the account holders, who are the ones who hold people to account, we are the ones who run Jamaica because Jamaica is ours. We know that this is important, and we will continue speaking of that this is important. And we're demanding that people follow the rules. Their personal opinions on this.
We're up on a break. Gentlemen, lady, we're up on a break. Please hold the line for us. We're talking about parliamentary oversight. Oversight for members of parliament. Should changes be made to the statutory declarations and how they are reviewed, scrutinized when they are submitted? Of course, they are presently held from public scrutiny except those submitted by the Prime Minister and leader of the opposition. But what should happen? Should the FID be doing it? We'll talk about it more when we come back from this break.
Jamaica Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
This football season, don't just watch the action, be part of it. With Chris and Charles Score Big Loan Promotion, upgrade your TV, plan that trip, or handle what matters most, fast and easy. And here's the best part. Every loan gives you a chance to win one of 3 58-inch smart 4K TVs. So while your favorite team scores on the field, you could be scoring big too. Promotion runs May 11 to July 20, 2026. Visit any branch or Chris and Charles for details. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Score big this football season on and off the field.
Imagine if I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Prevention is critical. That's why I recommend Colgate Total.
It's 15 times more effective at fighting the root cause of oral health problems. Prevent problems before they start.
At Hawkeye, we work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters.
Welcome back. I'm Tyrone Reid, and this is Lead Story. We're looking at the Parliamentary Commission, the Integrity Commission. Is it the Integrity Commission, this Commission of Parliament, that needs to be tweaked, or is it the parliamentarians who need to tweak their thinking? We're talking with Dr. Gavin Myers. He's the Principal Director of the NIA, and of course, the boss for Jamaicans for Justice, Michael Jackson, is also on the line. Michael Jackson, that question I posed to Dr. Gavin Myers just before the break, do you get the impression that some of our parliamentarians are somewhat allergic to being held accountable?
You have the opposition leader who charted the way forward on the Integrity Commission Act when he was then Minister of Justice. The Integrity Commission Act was actually passed by the current Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness. So one knows that when you look at the budget of the Integrity Commission, there is a general support of an anti-corruption framework. I think some of the comments in recent years have been most disheartening and disappointing by some. I would say using parliamentary privilege to make the most despicable comments in some respect towards the Integrity Commission by saying people there lacking integrity. And I'm actually paraphrasing rather, a government minister who made such a commentary. And I think it's unfortunate. I think part of it is perhaps the political landscape that we're operating under, where you understand and appreciate that some of the findings from the Integrity Commission, perhaps they were weaponized for political reasons. So I think generally there is the support towards the anti-corruption framework, but comments by a few have been quite concerning. But I wouldn't want us to focus on the comments by a few. What I would want Jamaicans to get towards is understanding the reason why it is important that commissions of parliament, such as an Integrity Commission, ought to be constitutionally entrenched. So when it is constitutionally entrenched, it means that if it is that there were, there is support or not support, no government of the day can simply come before parliament, because theoretically it can be done with the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. You come before Parliament, you use your majority and you get rid of this body by way of a simple majority vote. When it is constitutionally entrenched, as you have with the Director of Public Prosecution, as you have with the Auditor General, then you would require 2/3 majority vote. So that greater protection is there. And that is a call that JFJ made. And I would hope that Jamaicans get to making a similar call and support.
Before we turn the searchlight onto the Integrity Commission, though, and how it's been functioning over the last few years, am I hearing from both of you that you're saying the scrutinizing of these statutory declarations should remain with the Integrity Commission? Dr. Gavin Myers, with you first. Am I hearing you that you're saying yes, it should remain?
Yes. Independence is something that to be built on, not something to walk away from. And I don't think, when I listened to the entire clip of what Minister Samida was speaking about, he was saying that we should walk away wholesale from the Integrity Commission working our oversight for all parliamentarians. I don't think so. And I would never support that. I think also that we have a robust system that, as bad as we complain about it, it is the best in the Caribbean and something we should build upon. And anything like this would be a retrograde step.
Best in class, says Dr. Gavin Myers, but there are some people who are saying there need to be some tweaks. Am I hearing also from you, Michael Jackson, that the scrutinizing of the statutory declaration should remain with the Integrity Commission?
I think it was very clear that what Minister Samuda recommended should be soundly and roundly rejected, because the FID remains under executive control, and we have to remember why the Integrity Commission was functioning or is functioning as a commission of parliament, because there should be that independence with it. I heard Minister Samuda also making mention whether or not the oversight committee members specifically as well should have their statutory declarations rather and filings looked at by the Integrity Commission. And my question to Minister Matthew Samuda, what exactly is the harm that one is trying to prevent? Is there a suggestion that persons in the Integrity Commission would then, be acting out of malice in reviewing the statutory filings and so on? If that is a concern of Minister Matthew Samuda, the question and response I would give is that the beauty of our constitutional framework is that one can do the judicial review that we see people filing. That is a constitutional right, because in that respect, then the judicial review filings will deal with those.
Before you leave that point, though, Michael Jackson, in my reading of the reportage of the recommendation made by Matthew Samuda, he did mention that there were committee members who were somewhat gun-shy to really speak their conscience in matters relating to the Integrity Commission. He did raise that.
And I think I'm responding generally to the suggestion that if there is a concern, then we would have to look at the best way to deal with it. But if we decide at Parliament that we're going to be having 30 people on the Oversight Committee, are we saying that those 30 people would then be exempt from, the statutory filings being reviewed by the IC or so on? I think we have to look at proportionality and what is the best response to what may be reasonable concerns. And I'm saying that I put it to you that if it is that the Integrity Commission, if there's an allegation that the IC has acted out of malice, then that's a concern that I think there should be no shying around, because the members have not been shy before in making certain commentary. So I think one then would have to put together a report of sort from the Oversight Committee about those specific concerns so that we can have robust discussions about it. But that is why the Joint Select Committee of Parliament needs to meet, so that we don't muddy the waters with the Oversight Committee and the commentaries there.
Dr. Myers, and of course, Michael Jackson, but to you first, Dr. Myers, the operations of the Integrity Commission. Now, let's table the attacks that have been led by the blindly partisan political lackeys. Let's table that. But apolitical people have also raised concerns about the operations of the Integrity Commission. And what a case in point would be knowing that the Prime Minister would not face a charge, and the Director of Corruption and Prosecution had ruled that he did not have a case to answer, and the Integrity Commission submitted the investigative report without the ruling, and of course some may argue damage the reputation of the Prime Minister. When it comes to that kind of operation, are there things that the Integrity Commission can do better, Gavin Myers?
I agree that there are things that need to be done better. I'm very certain that the Integrity Commission will say to you that they are a work in progress, and as has been said by Justice just now in the report, that they are working on different systems and put it in place. But maybe the first point that we have to make is that the reason we have our oversight committee is to pull on these things, to act in the best interest and to make changes that we think will strengthen the organization and the agency. We can talk about the other thing, that we need to move away from the checklist towards a deep investigation, but we also need to talk about the fact that they have a staffing constraints. We need to talk about the fact that there needs to be more corruption prevention work being done, but all of this has to be balanced with the type of resource constraints that they're facing in terms of human resource and just the general depth of work that is being to be done. We have to look at those things, and I agree that there's more work to be done overall, and we have to continue to demand that, but that, as you say, is a separate thing from the type of political and visceral type of attacks that they're facing along other lines.
Let me hear from you, Michael Jackson, your take on that. The Integrity Commission has some house cleaning to do.
The IC is not beyond scrutiny, and given the responsibility that they have with, individuals' reputation of institutions, that responsibility, it weighs heavy. And therefore, one has to ensure that how matters are handled, it is handled in a fair manner. And I do agree with you that there was some hiccup with how the Prime Minister's matter was dealt with, because this is our head of government. And if it is that there are concerns and there is a ruling, then it should have accompanied that. I think the subsequent tabling of reports clearly suggested that the Integrity Commission learned in that respect. But I look also at the matter involving Minister Wheatley and how that was handled. If it is that you have powers of prosecution, for example, then one reasonably asks the question, if the DCP, that's the Director of Corruption Prosecution, made a ruling, why wasn't a charge laid right away, for example? Because then the public starts questioning, is there that power of prosecution? We know it is because we've read the act, but is there the power of prosecution? Why the delay? And then making questions about, is the Integrity Commission really serious about what it is doing? So I think they have to learn from things like that. I believe things like monthly press conferences are important, notwithstanding the gap clauses, and so the Integrity Commission must put itself before the public for questions to be asked. I do not agree with any institution going selectively to media houses to raise concerns. Whether the JCF, the Integrity Commission, any institution, put yourself forward for questions to be raised to you.
We're out of time.
There are many things
We're out of time, Michael Jackson, and we have to bring you back and bring back Dr. Gavin Myers, because one of the things that many apolitical people have an issue with is they ran afoul in terms of operations with the handling of the Prime Minister's investigation, and nothing happened. Who was held accountable? That is also a matter that needs to be addressed. We can't have sacred cows in the fight against corruption. Dr. Gavin Myers, thank you so kindly. And of course, thanks to Michael Jackson. She's the Executive Director of JFJ. This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. We'll be right back.
Show on Earth is here, and Fan Central goes into extra time for 39 days right throughout FIFA's Showpiece tournament, with a Pepsi in hand, of course. Catch the playbook with a tactical breakdown from our expert coaches. Come sit in our fan corner, where you have your say on the day's action. Fame or shame, who are the best or worst players of the day, and have a laugh as we share some of the best reactions on social media. after the final whistle, it's extra time. Fan Central Extra Time. 8 p.m. daily with 10 p.m. shows on select days where there are 8 p.m. match kickoffs.
Fan Central Extra Time is brought to you by the Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi. We also want to thank Digicel. Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Welcome back to Lead Story. Questions are mounting over what happens next following the Integrity Commission's report on the Firearm Licensing Authority, the FLA. While the government has outlined steps to address the issues raised, the opposition is now calling for the matter to be taken before Parliament's Internal and External Affairs Committee for closer scrutiny. Should lawmakers now step in to examine the findings and recommend further actions, or are the measures already underway sufficient? Tonight, we discuss the report, the push for parliamentary oversight, and what it all means for accountability and public confidence in the FLA. We are now being joined by Fitz Jackson. He's the opposition spokesman on national security. Top of the evening to you, Fitz Jackson. Welcome to Lead Story. We're not hearing Fitz Jackson so clearly. Wonderful. Hearing you now, Sir Fitz. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I was greeting you with a warm good evening, notwithstanding the temperature prevailing on the outside.
The heat is it's terrible. I'm telling you. I almost said homicidal, but let me leave it at it's terrible. Thank you for joining us, Sir Fitz. Talk to us. What's the latest with the FLA? Are you satisfied with what has transpired since the tabling of that controversial report?
Well, I think the question arose from the sitting of the Internal and External Affairs Committee a couple of days ago, while the committee in establishing the procedure for its meetings, and regrettably, since the last election in September last year, this is the first meeting. And it occurred because I wrote to the leader of government business to indicate that this and another committee that I am a designated member has not met since. I'm happy that it has subsequently occurred. What we attempted to do, the committee that is at our sitting, was to set an agenda of inquiries, investigations that we should pursue as a committee. I had proposed that the report of the from the Integrity Commission on the happenings, so to speak, at the FLA should be examined by the committee. And that is in the context of the remit and the responsibility of the oversight committees of Parliament. It is to provide a forum for parliamentary scrutiny of various public entities, and not just public entities, but different sectors of the society that impact upon national life. And I believe, to the extent that there's a report of concerns, irregularities, whatever we want to term it to be, the public deserves the greater scrutiny of the representatives who they have elected to perform that function. And so that's the genesis of the matter getting on the in the discussion at the sitting of the Internal and External Affairs Committee.
Were you satisfied with the chairman's response?
No, I was not satisfied, and it's not left there to be pursued further. We agree on a couple other items that will be considered by the committee, but I do believe that this is one that is of great importance because of the function of the FLA. You see, Mr. Reid, if you may permit me, public entities are not the exclusive domain of those of us who operate them and those of us who serve in government. They are, as the name implies, public entities to the service of the public. And the public at all times must be aware of the inner runnings, the functionality of them, the fairness of them, the effectiveness of them, etc. And in such committee oversight activities, it is imperative that we do not restrict the inquiry to just the members of the committee, but we provide an opportunity for related stakeholders to come before the Parliament, raise questions or issues of concerns there so that their parliamentary representatives can explore those issues and concerns on their behalf. That is the broader context in which the FLA was suggested for investigation, or rather, should I say, elaboration of the findings of the Integrity Commission. You weren't satisfied with the chairman's response, you say, but in terms of for the nut and bolts, and you were touching on it just now, that you are asking for the Internal and External Affairs Committee to look at. Is the Internal and External Affairs Committee the place for what you are asking? And was that one of the reasons there wasn't consensus on what you offered? It is very much so. The Internal Affairs Committee, by the stipulation in the standing orders, it is to investigate and inquire into matters relating to national security, to the internal security of the country. The FLA is one such entity that is involved in the regulation of the use of firearms, how they are distributed, meaning the licensing exercise that they carry out, to what extent it's compromising, whatever extent it is facilitating the broader security of the country. So yes, it is the place for it to be so examined. And what you're putting on the table, Fitzjackson, you'd like to summon the gun authority's boss to face the Internal External Affairs Committee. Is that a part of what you're hoping to do? I would phrase it a bit different. We would first invite them to come and give their own elaboration. And it is also an opportunity for them to speak to the country. That's the beautiful thing about the committees of Parliament. It is not just the parliamentarians speaking, but the public servants who are charged with the responsibilities and the ones who are involved in the day-to-day execution of those functions. So it provides a level playing field for everyone and the public at large.
Were you a party to form a government, Fitzjackson, and a report of this nature, an uncomplimentary report, surfaced on the Firearm Licensing Authority, by the Integrity Commission? What would be the immediate first steps of a PNP administration?
The egregious nature of it, we would ask for the Chief Executive Officer to stand aside until the matters are addressed. And as I said, some of them are really, really of deep concern. You see, Sir Reid, public trust, not only in us political leaders and public officials, are imperative, but also the institutions that we run, the institutions that we lead. And our foremost obligation is to preserve that integrity. Because when people feel that the instrument of the state is either not reliable, unfair, unjust, then whoever forms the government, the country goes nowhere. And that's what we must seek to preserve at all times. And so a PNP administration would take all the necessary steps to preserve that trust. And where the trust has been lost is to try to regain it. Even doing a reset.
How would you respond to the cynic who is listening, Fitzjackson, and saying, we've heard this before. What guarantees do we have that you will take these very robust steps against perhaps a CEO that would have been appointed by one of your very own ministers?
Yes. Tyrone, look here. There are no guarantees in life. However, we have the opportunity to do the best that is doable, that which can be done. And the public must continuously hold us to the fire. We must not do good because we want to do good. We must do good too because the people demand it of us and they keep our feet to the fire. So if I, as a minister in a PNP administration or any other PNP minister, give an undertaking and we breach it, you must call us out. And you must call for remedial action to be taken by whoever the Prime Minister is. I don't believe that democracy is a once every 5-year or 4-year exercise. Democracy is an everyday thing. But the people have to be assertive, and be assertive through their various stakeholder groups, assertive through their own individual voices, their fraternal organizations, and so on. There are various instruments available that we can assert ourselves and to keep government accountable on a continuous basis.
If we could speak, Tad, broadly, even more broadly on this issue of guns in the country, Fitzjackson, as the opposition spokesman on national security, what is your thinking on doing away with the FLA and be more liberal with the granting of gun licenses? How do you see that?
You are very correct when you say you're going very broad, very wide in the question. You are indeed. It's an issue that has been raised for some time now. I honestly, at this point, I will not say yes to do away with it. I would have to be satisfied that sufficient safeguards exist within the various institutions of the state to achieve, regulation of the use of firearm or the issuance of firearm. So yes, I wouldn't immediately go there yet, but it's not something that I'm going to immediately dismiss as being nonsensical and is not worthy of consideration. But based on as much as I know now, I'm not at the stage where I would embrace that as the immediate option, an immediate option.
Thank you so very much for the time and the thoughts, Fitzjackson. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
And your family. All the very best.
Thank you. All right, this is Lead Story. We take our final break for today. When we come back, we'll have the opposition spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, and he'll be addressing the release of the primary exit profile results. Soon come.
The greatest show on earth is here, and Fan Central goes into extra time for 39 days right throughout FIFA's Showpiece tournament. With a Pepsi in hand, of course. Catch the playbook with a tactical breakdown from our expert coaches. Come sit in our fan corner where you have your say on the day's action. Fame or shame? Who are the best or worst players of the day? And have a laugh as we share some of the best reactions on social media. After the final whistle, it's extra time. Fan Central Extra Time. 8 p.m. daily with 10 p.m. shows on select days where there are 8 p.m. match kickoffs.
Fan Central Extra Time is brought to you by the Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi. We also want to thank Digicel. Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel.
internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are march up the dance. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it dark. Shine your lights on. Hey, what a one?
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
What a guan?
What a guan?
That a guan pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a one! Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
And that's a guan pa. What a guan?
Turbulence to future, I'm have to end that CVM. See it happen. We've got the love others are searching for. I'm still loving you, even though you're gone. I could have been one of the most notorious. Keep it royal. Give thanks and praise for life. Thank you very much. Go bang!
Welcome back to Lead Story. In our final segment on this TGIF edition of the program, the release of this year's primary exit profile PEP results has sparked more than just celebration for thousands of students and their families. It has also ignited a debate over how those results are being presented. While the Ministry of Education says the latest figures point to improved student performance, opposition spokesman on education, Damien Crawford, is questioning whether those comparisons are valid at all. He argues that the changes to the examination make the comparisons with previous years misleading and says the public deserves a more accurate picture of what the results actually mean. So, are Jamaica's students truly performing better, or is the debate really about how success is being measured? Tonight, we examine the controversy surrounding the PEP results, the methodology behind the comparisons, and what this discussion means for parents, students, and the country's education system. With me now is opposition spokesman on education and early childhood development. Many call him a firebrand. Yeah, Damien Crawford. He joins us now. Top of the evening to you, Damien Crawford. Welcome to Lead Story.
Hi, my brother. How are you doing?
Not too shabby for a middle-aged guy. Good to see you. I trust you are well.
Yes, I am, and I hope you too are well.
Indeed. Made a case for our viewers, Damien Crawford. What is the issue that you are having with how the PEP results were presented?
No, well, generally, I have an issue with a Ministry of Education that seeks to build a narrative more than a nation. And consistently, they have sought to sell lies and stories based on flawed statistical analysis. In this case, they are suggesting that there is an improvement last year over this year. And that has nothing to do with the question you've asked if the children are doing better, because at this point, we don't know if they're doing better than last year. And the reason why we don't know if they're doing better than last year is because there is a different examination. Once the hurricane hit, the ministry took the decision to, one, remove 2 of the 4 exams. So instead of doing math, English, science, and social studies, they removed science and social studies in totality. And secondly, of the 2 that remained, they decided to remove the performing task and the long form aspect. leaving only the multiple choice aspect. And so therefore you did not only 2 of the 4, but you did basically half of the 2. And so to then come to proclaim that this suggests that we are doing well, and also that the high schools are receiving better quality and should by extension be expected to deliver more, is a flawed assessment that, one, puts undue pressure and unfair pressure on the schools, and 2, suggests that less needs to be done than needs to be done.
Damon Crawford, you've made the case, and I hear your argument about what has been removed, the science and the social studies, removed the performance task, and the long form, you say, left with multiple choice. For those who are looking on and saying there are lots of exams that are multiple choice in their format, and they do cover the entire gamut of a syllabus and can tell you whether or not students have attained onto mastery. Is that unreasonable from those who say that?
That's unreasonable, because that would speak mainly to the quality of the exam, and there can be quality multiple choice examination. What is, however, remaining unreasonable is for the government to compare it with last year, which was a different exam. So if the government choose to maintain only the multiple choice, then next year they can compare next year to this year. But they are incapable to compare the performance of last year to this year.
And if you, in looking at the results, Damon Crawford, that have been presented to the nation, what are you getting from the results that you've looked at? Because I know you're a numbers man, and I gather you've looked at the numbers.
Yeah, well, first of all, it showed that the children were resilient, that they were able to show up for exams, that they were able to execute and to in many cases, deliver upon the exam's general requirements. It also shows, however, that there's quite a bit of our students who are still struggling in pathway 2 and pathway 3. And sometimes when we use the percentages, it seeks not to represent the fact that there are thousands that would be, for example, if 32% failed, it would have been almost 9,000 would have not been achieving basic proficiency. So because there's an inability to compare with previous years, we can't judge if the ministry's interventions are working. However, what it also continued to show is that we still have too many of our persons that are not doing well. And when the ministry, for example, indicated that, 6th grade literacy was improved, that's the first time that it was being given. And there's a different level of literacy for each grade, from pre-primary, call it pre-primary, going all the way up to 9th grade literacy. So there's no way to legitimately compare a 6th grade taking the test to the same 6th grader taking a 4th grade test, because you'd have to measure if in 4th grade he was at the appropriate 4th grade level of literacy, and if in 6th grade he was at the appropriate level of 6th grade literacy. In this particular case, it wouldn't have been able to test the speed of reading, it wouldn't have been able to test fully its comprehension, and it would have left guessing as an easy component of simple multiple choice. So all I'm saying is that to trumpet and celebrate as they did last year with mathematics, suggesting that the ministry was in the right direction for 9 students more passing out of 26,000 that failed. And they said they were doing great because less students were entered in the examination. So that is a breach of trust and a manipulation of statistics. And I'm saying the answer cannot be found unless the truth and the facts are on the table. And at this point, the ministry is unwilling to put the truth and the facts on the table.
You opened with these words, Damon Crawford, and I heard it in my research for this. You've repeated them. Building a narrative more than a nation. That's what you say the education ministry is more interested in. That's a serious indictment, Damon Crawford.
It is a serious indictment, because you'd have heard them trumpet on multiple occasions that we have opened all the schools. What they have not told us is that many of those schools are having the children come twice per week, and in some cases 3 times per week. What they have not told us is that many of those schools are ending half of a day. And so therefore, to just say that, we are reopened, it doesn't indicate the learning loss that we're facing, and by extension does not capture the number of students that would need intervention despite the physical school being open. These are realities that have not been communicated by the ministry. When the ministry indicate that we are at 44% passes in mathematics, it doesn't indicate that almost 40% of our students in 11th grade are not being entered to take the exam. And so we really are at 21% of the cohort because they measure it against the sitting. These are facts that will negate our ability to satisfactorily build a society that have educated persons able to problem solve and able to communicate, for which mathematics and English language are the training ground for those activities. So they continue to propose that they seek to find any form of analysis that suggests that they're doing well instead of just to report the actual and truthful figures.
Damon Crawford, we are out of time, but most definitely this is a conversation that should continue in the public square and, of course, in the corridors where it matters most, because we must get education right. Thank you so much for the time and the thoughts, Damon Crawford.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
Indeed. Well, all right, that's where we're going to have to leave it for Lead Story tonight and for this week. Thanks to all of you for watching. Have a great weekend. I'm Tyrone Reed. On behalf of all the members of the production team, good evening, and of course, at the top of the hour, CVM News.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
Small Biz, Big Dreams is brought to you by Access Financial Services.